Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon. With me, as always, is Caleb, and we are wrapping up Awesomely Bad April, and we are going to be talking about the classic Samurai Cop. But before we get to that, we're going to do like we always do. And Caleb, have you been watching anything good?
Watching Bob's Burgers with my wife, so not too much anything new to add to that. Did get a chance to jump back into the animes or I guess I should say just anime. Because I'm watching through I could not watch more than one anime at a time because it would get too confusing for me. I'm really enjoying the genre, but it's tough for me to keep up with the names very well. So yeah, one at a time for me.
Yeah.
So I'm still finishing the JJK show, Jujutsu Kaisen, some pronounced something like that. I'm probably butchering it. Um, but yeah, I still have not gone through the first season yet, and there is a second season now. Get to after that's done. Besides that, yeah, nothing else really to add. How about you?
Um, I watched Netflix just came out with this documentary about the Oklahoma City bombing.
Okay.
I watched, God, most of that. I think I fell asleep towards the end, but that was pretty good. I watched the latest episode of Righteous Gemstones,
Oh, rock.
and I mean, still funny. That's pretty good. I watched the latest episode of Dark Side of the Ring. It was about superstar Billy Graham. That was good. It was kind of sad. I mean, most of those are sad, but I didn't know too much about him, so it was a bunch of stuff I really didn't know. So it was interesting. And the last thing I watched WrestleMania this past weekend.
Rock.
I watched most of the matches. I mean, it starts at like 7 o'clock and goes until like 11 on Saturday and Sunday. So like I missed a couple matches here and there, but I saw a fair amount of it. It was halfway decent, but it just doesn't, just not wrestling's not the same as it used to be. And I don't know, it's just because I'm an adult now. Who knows?
Right.
But yeah, it was worth a watch. Gave me something to watch this weekend. And the NFL draft starts this weekend. So if you're listening to this episode, it started yesterday. That's pretty much it for me. So we should probably talk about Samurai Cop. Samurai Cop. It is from 1991 and is directed by Amir Shervan. That's, I'm guessing, how you say that name. The plot is Joe Marshall and Frank Washington are two tenacious police detectives who seek at all costs to stop the Katana, a renegade Yakuza gang composed of violent and sadistic killers who want to lead the drug trade in Los Angeles. The cast, we got Matthew uh, Caretas as Joe, Robert Zadar as Yamashita, Mark Fraser as Frank, Janice Farley as Jennifer, Melissa Moore as Peggy, and Gerald Akamura as Akamura.
Laura?
I think this is the second time I've seen this movie.
Okay.
I watched it, I believe last year, like early last year. And yeah, I thought it fit perfectly within Awesomely Bad month.
It certainly fits. Talking about Awesomely Bad and the actors, so Robert Zadar,
Yeah,
the big bad villain dude,
yeah.
have you Googled him?
He was in lots of movies.
Have you Googled him to see what he looks like?
Yeah, he's got a huge face.
He went a little bit trigger happy with the whole plastic surgery thing.
But yeah.
And you could kind of tell in this movie that he was starting to,
Hmm.
and it got bad.
Yeah, he looked a little bloated there towards the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I'm just going through Google Images, and it's just like, holy smokes, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in um quite a few movies. He was in the Maniac Cop movies. That's what I've seen him.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
he
he's
also
got.
suffered from a genetic disorder called cherubism,
Oh, okay,
which causes excessive bone growth in the lower face. That's why he had a huge jawline.
okay,
Yeah.
man. I mean, like, I don't know. To me, like, well, he did have his beard in this one, and I don't know. Is it something where it continues to go throughout your entire life?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, then chances are maybe he was doing the plastic surgery to try to like proportion his face or something. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm
because
thinking.
it looks it looks rough.
Yeah.
So
Oh man.
that's a bummer. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, we got that guy. He's a different looking dude, and then we got Matthew Caritas. Caritas? I don't know how
Yeah.
to say that. He was credited as Matt Hannon in this. Uh, that's a weird looking dude too. The long flowing locks.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought it was fake at first.
um, it is in parts of it.
In parts of it?
Yeah, well, I could just say the trivia thing I got right now. So he had very long hair, and then he cut it 7 months after the filming wrapped. While he was looking for more acting work, director and screenwriter called him, like Amir Shervan, called him back for some reshoots. Then he was furious that he cut his hair and immediately went out to look for a wig.
Oh gosh.
And he was only able to find a woman's wig that looked nothing like his long hair that he had to wear doing some long shots and pickups.
Oh, that's funny. I guess I didn't notice I mean, I did notice that the style changed, but I didn't pay close enough attention to realize that there was that much of a change that they tried pulling that stunt.
Yeah, I guess there's parts too where you can actually see the wig starting to come off.
I thought I saw that.
Yeah.
Well, can we just call this movie what it is? A desperate attempt to recreate Lethal Weapon?
Yes. But with but with samurais, which really
Yes.
aren't even samurais, it's just dudes with katanas.
Yeah. Let's make this interesting. Let's add swords. And then
Well, I
Lethal Weapon looked at it and was just like, huh, maybe we should do something with martial arts for Lethal Weapon 4.
it's like this movie, they're really more ninjas than they are samurais.
Yeah.
Like
It was
samurais were like warriors. They I don't know how to explain it. Like it's not the same.
yeah, it's I mean they use swords. And
Yeah.
so I think there were a couple things that may have been factual with it being like, oh, quote unquote samurai from them fighting with swords, but I don't think some of the swords that they used were legit samurai swords. Like I think they were the wrong proportion size.
Yeah, some are a
Um,
little short.
and then the other thing was at the end when they talked about like a samurai taking his life because of the, dying on the field of battle or whatever. I mean, I've heard that in some other movies, so I think that's true.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's just like, I don't know. There was more martial arts than samurai in this.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Um there's also more gunfights in this than there was in Champagne and Bullets.
Oh my gosh, dude, there's more action in the first like 15 minutes of the movie than the
Yes.
entire Champagne and Bullets movie.
Yeah, this movie is a lot more entertaining, I'll say that. There's
Absolutely.
always something going on. Um, and as bad as the acting is, there's nothing as bad as what was in. champagne and bullets. Because, as goofy as the main guy looks in this, with his bugged out eyes and like he's ripped, but he's also kind of lean.
Yeah.
He's like Van Damme built kind of. And
Mm.
then with the long hair that's sometimes a wig. Like he actually wasn't like too bad of an actor. I feel like that's just the dialogue was really bad that they gave him.
Yeah, I mean, there have been worse and there have been better, obviously, but I would
Yeah.
fully agree that if the dialogue was better, he probably would have looked better.
I mean, he's not as bad as Tommy Wiseau.
No, no. Who Tommy was also not as bad as the guy
John
from
DeHart.
last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, very true. Um, Also, funny thing, I feel like I have to mention it now. There's a Samurai Cop 2 and Tommy Wiseau was in it.
Oh, shut up. No way.
Yeah.
Dang.
And
Was he the samurai cop? Oh my gosh, please tell me he was
no,
samurai cop.
because no, the
Dang
Samurai
it.
Cop comes back.
Oh
So they get
man.
the same dude. Um,
He kind of looks like the samurai cop a little bit.
yeah, a little bit. Kind of a just an interesting looking guy. At
Oh,
least it was believable that Joe the Samurai Cop was a ladies' man, unlike
yes.
John DeHart in the last movie. Because I mean, he's like a relatively handsome guy.
Yeah, and he's got the physique for it too.
Yeah, and he's kind of charismatic.
Oh, oh, hi, Katana.
Oh, oh hi. Oh man. I will say that Tommy Wiseau is charismatic though.
Hmm.
He's got charisma. I mean, just what oh, the guy that played Mark. Why can't I think of his name right now? Um, in his book said that he was just kind of drawn to Tommy in their acting class,
Yeah, well,
just because he just seemed like an interesting guy.
I mean, if I saw what Tommy did in their acting class, I probably would have been somewhat intrigued myself.
Yeah, like this is an interesting dude. Oh man. Um, I thought the that Joe and Frank had decent chemistry. Like, it seems like they probably got along when they made this movie.
Yeah, definitely not. I think the
I mean, they're
chemistry
no
was
Riggs
there.
and Murtaugh.
Yeah, I think the chemistry was there, but definitely Frank was the dead weight of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a little wooden at times.
Hmm. Not to jump ahead and ruin things with like specific scenes, but in the hospital
Yes.
when Joe or the Sam, I'll just call him Samurai Cop, um, is hitting on the nurse.
Yes.
And Frank is, they just like cut to Frank every time and he's just like making faces. And it's like, yeah. Like I don't even remember if he really said anything. He just was like smiling, nodding, like,
Makes a couple ooh faces.
yeah. He was trying. He was trying. I'll give him that.
Oh yeah. I feel like the director was just like, just have some kind of reactions. Just do everything you can think of. We'll decide which ones we want to use.
And he did like four, and they're like, crap, we need to use all four. Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, that nurse conversation. That's some of the worst dialogue that has ever been in a movie.
Yes, I remember you actually sharing that with me and sending it to me one time when we were
Yeah, I think
talking
it's
about
when we
bad
were talking
dialogue.
about bad acting, and it might have been the time I watched it before. But I mean, the gist of the conversation is like Joe tries to pick her up, and she's like, "Do you like what you see?" And he's like, "Yes." "Do you want to touch what you see?" "Yes." And then she's like, do you want to do me?" And he goes, "Bingo."
Bingo, bango.
Yeah. And then she like grabs his junk. She's like, "Oh, it's not big enough for me." Oh God. That whole exchange is just so incredibly awkward.
Oh, and you want to talk about awkward? How about that waiter at the restaurant?
Oh my gosh.
And that whole scene, I was like, what the actual heck is going on right now?
The super flamboyant guy.
Yeah, like I mean, it was so random where all of a sudden they threw in this guy who had like he had the biggest personality out of anybody in the movie.
Yeah.
And it was it was almost kind of like they knew it and they're like, "Oh man, we have to give this guy more dialogue." And so they were talking about nonsense for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it seemed so random and it makes it stick out so much more because uh, I don't know if I would say like I wouldn't go as far as saying that he was the best actor in the movie, but he gave 110% while a bunch of people in this movie were like hovering at like 70, 80%.
Yeah, phoning it in.
Yeah.
I would say Robert Zadar didn't phone it in. He
Yeah.
went for it.
The
And he's a menacing guy because he was a bigger dude. Um, like not like a huge ripped up guy, but he kind of made me think of um Bennett from Commando, where he's just like a bigger guy,
let
but
off some steam.
he's not like cut and ripped, you know,
Hmm.
but he's still an intimidating figure.
Oh yeah. Well, he's kind of I mean, you probably don't know this, but the mountain from Game of Thrones,
Yeah,
kind of
yep,
like that. So,
yeah. The
then
big dude, yeah.
the big guy. I don't remember who it was, but the boss, they always called him the boss.
Yeah.
He was rough. He
Talking about
was,
the Japanese guy with the mustache and mullet.
yeah. Like he tried. I'll definitely give him some credit. He tried, but like most of his stuff was very monotone. And then all of a sudden it'd be like, take it to level 11. Like I don't think there was any in between. It was either like monotone or 11.
Yeah. Um, it was Mr. Fujiyama was his
Okay.
name. Yeah, he kind of reminded me of the guy that played Jeff in Miami Connection,
Oh,
where he's just like stammering over his lines, but then all of a sudden he just like freaks out. A friend.
yep. I remember my line. Yell it.
Yeah. Leave her alone. A friend.
Oh, speaking of
Yeah.
line delivery,
Yeah.
right? You texted me about it. Shoot
Yes.
him.
Shoot him.
Shoot.
When
Shoot
they're in
him.
that car chase, they're chasing
Yeah.
after the van, and Frank's like an amazing shot.
Yep. And it's just like you couldn't come up with something else like, dude, we're getting wrecked out here. Cover fire. Shoot
Yeah.
him. Take him out.
Yeah. No, just shoot him. Shoot him. Shoot him. uh, great words of wisdom. You're really helping me out there, Joe.
Yeah. Frank's like, oh, thanks, man. You know, you're helping me shoot better.
Do the thing.
Uh,
Oh, man.
that makes me think of a little bit of awesomely bad element to this movie is absolutely the special effects.
Oh, yeah.
Low budget and they tried to I I don't know. I feel like it was them trying to cut corners and keep the budget as low as possible because I don't think that they deliberately would have been that negligent, maybe. But like there were times where somebody would get shot and then they would take effort sometimes where like they would cut away and then all of a sudden they'd have like, you know, the blood pellet or some like blood smudge, whatever. And then there would be other times where there was nothing.
Yeah. They just get shot and like a squib would go off or something. And then
Yeah.
other times, like, there wouldn't even be one that would go off.
Hmm.
Like, the person would just fall over. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you one special effect that didn't hold back was after they shot the guys in the van,
Okay.
and then a van crashes and it catches on fire, and the
Oh,
dude like staggers out and he burns for like ever.
yeah.
And you could tell like he's got some kind of like fire retardant gel on him or something.
Oh, but still, dude,
But still,
I
and
was,
like I felt like the clip that they had was actually the two main actors running out and legit trying to put the flames out on him.
Yeah, I was like watching it, I'm being like, dude, I'm pretty certain that this guy probably got injured.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, the funny thing too is I don't know if you noticed it, but when the actors were putting out the flames, one of the last split seconds of it, the guy's on the ground and they're actually getting the flames out, but they dubbed over it with screaming because the stunt guy was just on the ground and he like rolled over and he's just like looking around and his mouth wasn't open, but there were screams coming out.
Yeah, well, dude, this entire movie again, terrible audio.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can hear it pretty well. Other times it's kind of muffled, and there's a lot of times where there's ADR like that scene.
Yeah. When you
I
were
mean, it's not
talking,
as bad as Champagne and Bullets, but
yeah,
yeah,
no. I thought when you were going to talk about special effects that went all out, I thought you were going to talk about when they chopped off the guy's arm.
yes, that that reminded me of Deadly Prey,
Yeah,
except Joe didn't beat the guy with his own arm.
it was pretty epic, but what was really hilarious to me was that his nub, after
Yeah,
it got cut off, was like a block of wood.
basically,
It was like a peg.
yeah,
Just like
squirting blood.
that's not really how cutting off limbs works.
I like how that dude had a gun too.
Hmm.
He
And
had
he
a
didn't
gun. He
shoot.
could have shot Joe, and Joe ran up and just hacked his arm off with a katana.
Yep.
Oh, that's so
Well,
great.
talking about improvements from last week to this week, again, audio not so great, but an improvement. One thing that was a definite improvement was the filming and the camera work for this one,
Yeah.
because they did not have any scenes that were like 3 minutes of a single shot
Yes.
and just letting actors fumble over their lines.
Dude, if you want to talk about improvements, the music.
Oh, yes.
Some of the music in this movie's great.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
I,
there's no shimmy slide.
well, I thought it was really funny because I think that was one of the first things, like the intro song to Champagne and Bullets. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, yeah, sweet, awesomely bad music, good start. And then the whole movie was like downhill from there.
Yeah.
But this one, yeah, I made a comment about the music and yeah, it held up. I mean, it fit. So that was a bonus.
Hmm. Something that this movie has in common with a lot of bad movies is that there's a lot of random sex scenes in it.
That's true. How do we
At
sell
least
a
they don't
movie?
linger as long as Champagne and Bullets in the room.
Oh my gosh.
But still, I found myself like fast forwarding over them because like I don't want to see this dude with this crazy long hair sucking this woman's face.
Yep.
Or that first one where she's just like writhing on top of him, and I'm like, okay, we get it.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, and he's wearing like wears like bikini underwear every time, and they like zoom in on his junk a lot.
Yeah. Vanity project. No, just kidding.
Not as bad. Uh,
Overcompensating for something? No.
John DeHart would have had them zoom in on his junk multiple times, and he would have had like a summer sausage in his underwear to make it look like he was packing a Pringles can or something. uh, one thing I noticed about this, you talked about the camera work is better. What I noticed about this is that the white balance was way off on so many shots, and they would
Yeah.
like go back and forth between different shots, and sometimes it would be a little bit more warm, and then other times it'd be colder.
Yeah.
So it's like this shot is kind of orange, the next one's blue.
Hmm.
Just made me laugh. Yeah, I think the arm hack off is one of the best parts of the movie just because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. That was probably one of the highlights for sure. The end well, another thing too to talk, and I know we're doing a lot of comparison to last week because I don't know, they're somewhat similar as far as like genre story, cop story and all that. But this one had a very good, clear conflict and story.
Yeah.
So props to them for that. I mean, there were still some clunky parts, but you knew what was going on. You knew who the bad guys were. You knew what was trying to happen.
Yeah, you knew what
So,
the point of it was.
yep.
Basically, Lethal Weapon with swords.
Hmm.
Um, I forget to mention this with um the dialogue. There's a part where Joe like stammers over his words, and they just kept that shot where he's like, when he first confronts Mr. Fujiyama, he's like, Mr. Mr. Fujiyama. And they just kept that in it. What's an all American girl like you doing with a geek like this? And that's how he meets his love interest. That was right before they talked to the flamboyant waiter.
Yep.
Um, some of the special effects are hilarious. I mean, Robert Zadar with his Uzi, and he's
Hmm.
just kind of just spraying bullets and not really like conserving any, but the sound effect of the gunfire is pretty hilarious.
Pew pew pew. Not
Yeah, pretty
exactly,
much.
but
And then there's just like
speaking
somebody lighting off fireworks or something like that.
yeah, speaking of special effects and the shooting, my favorite one for that topic is it wasn't the final. No, it wasn't. It was when they went in and they took out the one oh gosh.
Was it the
The
older cop?
no no, not the older cop. It was when the samurai cop and Frank went in after somebody. It was the guy who was making out with the girl in his bed when they showed up at his house and
The
everything.
guy that looked like the old um wrestling manager, Mr. Fuji.
Yeah. So they went in the house and they started shooting through a room or down a hallway or something, and there was a TV,
Yeah.
and they shot, and in front of the TV was a glass, and they shot and broke the glass, but somehow the glass stopped the bullet from breaking the TV because it was right in front of the TV, and it's just like,
Uh,
okay, I wasn't dumb in school. I know that if a bullet goes in that direction towards the villain and it breaks the glass in front of the TV, that also means that should hit the TV too. And then a couple seconds later, they show them shooting the TV.
that's hilarious.
So it's like, why didn't you guys do that one time?
There's so many funny things in that scene and leading up to it. Because there's like this one lady cop that helps him out a fair amount. So it's like Joe,
Oh
Frank,
no.
there's an older guy, and then this lady cop, and this lady cop is a freaking horn dog.
Yeah.
Like pretty much all she talks about is doing it and trying to get it from somewhere. And I was like, why is this cop so horny? And then they show uh I think that's the Akamura guy. I just kept calling him Mr. Fuji because he looked like Mr. Fuji.
Yeah.
Um he's like in bed with this woman and they're making out and everything. And I started laughing as I was looking around their apartment room and there was a bunch of Patrick Nagel paintings on the wall, which is just incredibly 80s. Uh, and then they Mr. Fuji like challenges Joe. They start like fighting, and then he chases him down, and he does like all these poses and stuff, like a bad martial arts movie would do. And then it ends up with Joe putting him in like the camel clutch, like he's the Iron Sheik or something. Like
Hmm.
he's sitting on his back and wrenching back on his head. Um,
And then they let Frank come in and try to handcuff him, but then Frank gets manhandled and the dude tries to shoot the samurai cop, but samurai cop is too fast and he shoots him dead.
yeah. So another guy that they don't get the question or anything.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, dang it!"
And the chief is just there to yell at them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he was so pointless.
Yeah, he was so awful.
I'm gonna get fired because you guys. Ah. I should fire you, but I'm gonna let myself get fired first, or I don't. It was just so.
My ass is on the line. Your ass is on the line. uh, yeah, the old cop where Robert Zadar and the goons show up at his place,
Oh yeah.
and they like hack his wife's head off.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. A
Yeah,
little
he was
gratuitous.
he was a little bit well, they didn't hack the head off. They just cut her throat, right?
Yeah, they hack his head off. Somebody got their
Uh
head hacked
oh,
off.
the guy in the hospital.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, that dude
yes,
got his head cut off.
the old cop guy with his wife, that was a little bit that
Well, I
was
noticed too that like Robert Zadar had a hold of her and her shirt popped open and
mhm,
like her boobs are hanging out, but then in the next shot her shirt was fixed.
yeah.
It's like the actress is like, okay, I don't want to do this part.
Yeah. No, how about we don't do that?
Yeah.
But then so they cut her throat and the cop was just like, no. And it's just like, okay, maybe a little bit more emotion.
Yeah. Oh, you killed her. uh, and then when he attacks the horned up lady cop and he dumps boiling oil on her,
Oh yeah, and they never really like she was done after that. They never really did anything with
they
her.
never showed her again. Like that wouldn't have killed her. That just would have burned her up really bad.
Yeah,
And then we get a couple more sex scenes thrown in there too for good measure.
of
Can
course.
never have enough of those, right?
Yep.
So I noticed that when the samurai cop and Frank are um trying to like hunt down these guys, they go to a house where they think they're staying at, and it's the same house that the old cop was in. The reason I could tell is because there's that weird sunroom with the red and white canopy.
Oh really? I did not catch
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I noticed that watching it this time because I noticed it the first time. I'm like, why is there red and white stripes everywhere? And then I realized it's like a tented in area.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then when they showed him um searching out this house trying to find guys, it was the same house.
Nice.
uh, the sword fighting cracked me up. It said it made me think of when I was a kid and I was pretending to be Leonardo,
Yeah.
like hitting trees with a stick in the woods.
Yeah, there was a it made me think of when I was in college at one point. It was actually before you and I were at the same college. Um there was a guy that I knew and he and I were kind of like we worked out together. There wasn't
Yeah.
much of a gym at the small school that we were going to. Um so we kind of I had some weights, he had some weights, and so we kind of worked out together, but he was big into martial arts and he had training swords, like the wooden
Okay.
ones. And we were messing around in college doing stuff, and we gosh, I mean, it's probably gone and destroyed, but like we filmed some stuff, and watching that, I was just like, dude, that's probably exactly what we looked like.
Most likely. Oh gosh. Um. Oh, there's also a part two where Joe grabs a guy in a headlock or something, like a reverse headlock, like a dragon sleeper, and he like wrenches the guy's neck, and you hear it break, and he drops the guy, and then the guy starts moving around again.
Oh, he
Did
did?
you notice that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he started moving around, like almost crawling. I'm like, I swear I heard the crack noise at like in Arnold movies
Yeah.
when he breaks someone's neck. Uh, and then we get the final fight with Robert Zadar. We have our swords. Now we lost them. Now we got them back. Now we lost them again. Uh, and it ends with another sex scene.
Yeah. Thankfully, it was very brief.
Oh yeah, on the beach. Um, there's something I noticed in this, uh, in the car chases and the fight scenes. They sped up the film.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like Three Stooges.
Yeah, in the car scenes for sure.
Yeah,
In the fight scenes, I didn't notice as badly, so I don't think they sped it up as much.
it was more in the sword fighting scenes.
Okay.
They sped those up. It was maybe at like two times speed or like one and a half, but you could tell. Yeah, now the car chase scenes, those are really sped up.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's
Yeah, that
probably
is
from
maybe think of Three Stooges because they did that stuff all the time.
yeah, what makes me think of that is they probably did not have filming rights to, or they probably didn't get permission to film in certain areas.
Hmm.
And so they were probably driving the speed limit and then had to speed it up. So it looked like they were actually having a car chase.
Yeah, probably. Oh gosh. Um, man, I think really the worst part about this movie was just the audio was bad at times. That's really my only gripe with it. Um, and I mean, I feel like that could be fixed if they made like a special edition or something. The
Yeah,
levels could be messed with.
probably.
Just leave it how it is, I guess.
They could probably fix
Um,
some of the coloring too.
yeah. Um, anything else to add? You want me to get a trivia and facts?
I think we're ready for trivia and facts.
All right. I already gave the one about his hair. The entire movie is set during daytime because the director could not afford lighting to shoot at night.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Almost every shot in the movie was done with just a single take, as to conserve as much film reel as possible. This led to a lot of bloopers, flubbed lines, and mistakes that got left in the final cut.
That's funny.
Yeah. So the director shot much of the film wild, with no sound, and dubbed in a lot of dialogue later. Many actors were not available to speak their lines, so the director used his own voice and warped it in post production to sound different.
No.
This is why the Chinese henchman at the beginning sounds like a robot. The voice of the film editor in the editing booth scene is that of Mark Fraser and not Warren Stevens.
Oh my gosh.
The budget for the film was so shoestring that the cast members had to wear their own clothes and mostly drive their own cars to save on costs for wardrobe and vehicles.
Oh my word.
Yeah. So Matthew Correttis hated working on the film. He has stated that the look on his face in various scenes, including the restaurant monologue, showed his disgust. Yeah, and he looked really irritated in that scene. Like, why am I doing this? Uh, so when Robert Sadar turns up to the final battle, he arrives in a Suzuki Samurai.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So budget, I could not find a budget for this, but it made $386,000 in the box office.
All right.
Yeah. So grades, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes. There is only an audience score for Rotten Tomatoes. So
Oh, okay. I'm actually going to start with the Rotten Tomato audience because I think I may have accidentally seen it. Is it 47%?
it is 47%.
Okay. All right. So spoiler on that. IMDb 4.3.
4.6.
Oh, dang it. I knew it couldn't be a 4.1 because that was Champagne and Bullets.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no way could this be a 4.1 or less.
Right. Yeah, this is better than Champagne and Bullets. So our grades, I guess I'll go first. I think you went first last time.
Rock.
Um, this is a fun movie. It's really entertaining. There's a lot of goofy stuff in it, and you could tell a lot of the times that things were done in one shot. The special effects are corny. The music's actually fairly decent. Um, I will say that the guy who played Joe has a certain amount of charisma, and when he's on the screen, your eyes kind of go to him. So I'll give him credit for that. I don't think his acting was so horrible. I thought the dialogue was terrible. Uh, like we said, the guy that played Frank was probably the weak link of the main cast. That and Mr. Fujiyama, he was awful. Uh, Jenny, the blonde woman that he hooks up with throughout the movie, I thought she was pretty decent. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun movie. I wouldn't put it like as high as like Miami Connection
Hmm.
or Deadly Prey or even like The Room, but it's right around there. I end up giving it 4.5 out of 5.
Rock. Yeah, definitely. Definitely more in the genre of what we normally think of with Awesomely Bad, where it's got elements of the entertaining or rewatchability. Definitely a movie that I could rewatch.
Hmm.
Um, Not as much as the movies you just mentioned, but I could definitely, watch this one again compared to some other movies we've recently watched. So, um, it had its hurdles and its shortcomings, but that's what makes it and qualifies it for awesomely bad. So really it's kind of comparing those other elements of how entertaining it was, the rewatchability, and I was hovering between 4 and 4.5. I think that I think I agree with you where this is kind of like not a tier one that's going to be in that second tier for awesomely
Hmm.
bad movies. Um, just kind of thinking of the other awesomely bad movies that we've kind of watched and compared, and this is quite a bit better than uh, some of the other ones that we filled up with our other months. So I think I'm landing also at 4.5.
Rock. Yeah, I figured this one would probably be the best of the bunch that we watched, so I kind of saved it for last.
Right.
Um, so next month we're kind of going in a little different direction. We're going to be doing a horror month. October seems to do fairly well, so I thought we'd just throw one here in the late spring, early summer. So for May, we're going to be doing Dawn of the Dead, the original, followed by Identity, Killer Party, Ravenous, that was requested years ago.
Did somebody request that or did I suggest that?
I think someone suggested it.
Okay.
And then The Descent is the last one.
Rock.
So yeah, most of those I've seen. I have not seen Identity or Ravenous. So
Ravenous I did see. And
rock,
so decent one. Don't remember a whole lot, but I remember it being decent.
rock. I will say that Dawn of the Dead has the neon orangey red blood in it that this movie had. So there's a connection. Yeah, if you guys are liking the show, please subscribe and share. You can find us on social media. We're on pretty much every single platform. I'm getting quite a bit of stuff on YouTube and TikTok as of late, so go and check those out. Come by next time. We're going to be talking about the original Dawn of the Dead. And until then, as always, be kind and rewind.